Luke 11. Roll. Within need consult. Long guy, a young extern, approached me who was watching the blood pressure of a shocking patient. A female patient, aged 18 years old, came with rapid breathing 10 minutes before coming to the hospital. Cold hands, cold feet. I can feel that the tip of her hand and foot is numb. Two hand bleeds. She's faint but not unconscious. When the symptoms occurred, she was sitting in the cheering room with normal vital signs assumed to have hyperventilation syndrome. Hyperventilation syndrome is an asthma from stress or anxiety known known as chronic hyperventilation syndrome. Is she still breathing fast? I asked back. Still breathing fast. Okay, I'll go check. I left the shocking case for Ben to look at and walked towards the girl who was breathing in and out rapidly and had an accoucheur's hand and a pale face. Her condition looked terrible, but her vital signs and physical examination were all good. There's nothing but rapid breathing that is often triggered by stress. Hey, no? The girl turned to look at me. Doctor, I I can't breathe. You're breathing too fast. Try to breathe in and out more slowly. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly to show as an example. Do this slowly, no slower than that. Yes, if I can do this, it'll be easier for you to breathe. You're now in the hospital. There's this handsome doctor nearby. No need to be afraid or anything. No need to be stressed. I patted Guy's shoulders. The best solution for this condition is to speak up and reassure the patient that she is fine. Tell her to calm down and breathe slowly. We may have studied doctors to use medicines, but some things also require good speaking and interpersonal skills. Don't forget. I left Nongai and walked to check the case that I had just brought in. Though the cases today are the same that have been seen before, the joy of working is very different. In my head, I thought of the morning when I opened my eyes to see Tol sleeping beside me, breathing in and out regularly. It made me so overwhelmed that I couldn't describe it in words. I moved in and hugged him tightly and kissed his forehead once and said good morning. I can't believe that a simple greeting can have so many meanings. It means that at the end of the whirlpool and at the beginning of a new life, I and Tol will have to live together for a long time. I still don't believe about mine, Tol said as I unwrapped the lunchbox for him. Tol came over to see me during the lunch break. Luckily, the cases in the emergency room weren't heavy, so I was able to sneak out to eat the lunchbox Tol had brought. I don't want Mai to be with Hart. Isn't this good? Though I felt a bit bored talking about Mai again, I'll try not to say anything that makes Tol angry. Call and talk to her. Ask if everything is okay. Did Hart do something bad? If she's happy, we should back off, or it will be another conflict. Tol still had an uneasy look on his face. I called Mai this morning. Mai said Hart will take her to Korea next week. Well, it's kind of strange how Hart knew that Mai was at the department store, and buying a car for these things seems to have been well prepared. I asked her what happened at the time. Paul handed me the glass of double shot espresso he bought. Mai told me that Hart would like to surprise her a long time ago because he felt guilty that he hit Mai. The day before Mai came to eat with us, Hart went to see her at her house with a bouquet, but Mai didn't accept it. So Hart asked his subordinates to follow Mai. When they knew that Mai came to eat with us, Hart asked his subordinates where we were taking her to. Hart came to this department store and brought her a car right there and used her friend to call her out of the restaurant. That's scary. We have been stalked. Doesn't she feel scared? I shouted. Hart wasn't jealous at all that Mai went out to eat with men. It would be a matter if she came out with one of us, but It happened to be all three of us, so it didn't look like Mai was dating a guy. It was more like going out to eat with a group of friends. Tall sighed. Why does someone like Hart get a second chance? Mai shouldn't go back with him. What should we do? Tall was so worried. It also made me worried too. But following my feelings, I think the less we are involved with Mai, an incident will be less bad. Believe me, Tol, I've been through it over 10 times. I already know what the answer is. We just watch from a distance. I think Tol also agrees with this point. He probably didn't know how to argue, so he looked down at the plate. Okay. He reached out to pat his head to relieve anxiety. Don't overthink. Let's eat. You have to go back to university now. As I was rubbing his head, I heard a noise coming from the dining room door, so I looked at the door suspiciously. What I saw were the three heads of three nurses lined up like a skewer, peeking at Tall and me through the doorway and then quickly disappearing when they saw that I was looking. I shook my head at the curiosity of the colleagues and turned around to eat the lunchbox Tall had bought for me. After finishing the food, I walked out to the front of the emergency room. Do you want to go anywhere this evening? I asked. Where do you want to go? Want to see a movie? That's fine. Saul picked up his phone and looked at the time. I'll go first. See you later. I'll pick you up. I waved bye bye until the emergency room door closed, smiling at the door like a crazy man for a while, and turned around and continued my work. I felt a strange look in everyone's eyes, nurses, junior, and teacher, but I didn't care. No matter how much I'm being looked at or insulted, I love him like this. I know that our society is not now open, but there are still people who think that a love that is different from a normal one is strange. Brainless people tend to look down on people who are already different. Luckily, my colleagues seemed to understand. No one came to talk about anything that made me feel bad. They were only asked how everything was. Some people tease for a little bit. Everyone still sees me as Dr. Tin, the same third year residents that everyone in this shift relies on. I'm so glad everyone understands before I finish. I will have to arrange a big thank you party. Saul chose to watch a spy movie that has been in the theater for a while now, making the inside of the cinema quite empty. I bought a honeymoon seat on the top floor so that I could stretch out my tired legs and, in case Saul would lean himself on my shoulder, which is unlikely to happen easily. I glanced at Dol, who was watching the fight scene intently. His eyes looked excited. He really likes things like this. He was still like a little boy that got interested in something and may have forgotten that I was sitting next to him. I turned to look at the movie that is now in a climax and took some popcorn in my mouth. Having a boyfriend is not really like having a girlfriend. I expected a small action that is romantic, like secretly holding hands or leaning on my shoulders, but not from him. And then the love scene came between the male and female leads. Two of them moved closer and exchanged passionate kisses. I couldn't help but imagine that I want to be a male lead and let Doll be the female lead and be brought to bed. What we did the most was a gentle kiss, followed by a pillow thrown on the face. I didn't expect that we had to reach that point. It would be difficult both mentally and physically. There will be no force in this matter. Actually, Tol and I have never really talked about this. I turned to look at Tol and saw that Tol's eyes were staring at me. He coughed a little before quickly turning back to look at the screen. It made me wonder what Tol was thinking. Nothing happened until the movie ended. Tol walked me out of the theater and turned to criticize movies just like he likes to do. The protagonist should be even cooler. I didn't really like the scene where he jumped into the water. It seems unrealistic. I reached out my arm and put it around Tol's shoulders and continued to walk. But overall, it's fun if you don't think about it too much. Tol was startled a little when I put my hands around him. Tol walked away from my arms, which made me wonder what happened. I thought he got used to being touched by me, or did he get embarrassed by the eyes of others? I followed him, who was far away, with tears in my eyes. I knew he couldn't accept that he had a boyfriend. It's okay, maybe he still needs a little more time to settle down. Saul was quiet all the way back to the condo, which made me feel worried. He had a look on his face all the time as if he was thinking about something. First, I didn't want to bother him, but I couldn't stand it. When I parked my car in the car park under the condo, I asked, Saul, are you okay? He didn't. Saul said without looking at me. I looked at him eagerly, waiting for what he would say. But in the end, he said, nothing. I sighed. Are you mad at me? You can tell me so that I will improve. Well, Tall raised his hands as if trying to explain something difficult. I was thinking, two men, they want to have sex. One of them has to be on top and the other one is bottom, right? My face turned numb for a moment. I didn't think Tall was the one who said that first. Uh, um, this is so freaking embarrassing. Tall murmured quietly and then continued. Well, you've been through a woman before, right? I raised my hand and rubbed my face, which was starting to heat up. Yes, me too. Tall turned to me, pointed his finger at himself, and switched to pointing at me. It would be very different if it was me and you. I know. I smiled to relieve my embarrassment and create a more relaxed atmosphere. But we don't have to go to that level. I'm not serious at all. I'm happy just having you next to me. Must have. Tall looked at me without blinking. Not soon, but one day, if we get to the point of getting married, then it must have. My heart was beating so fast. I tried to suppress the simmering emotions in my chest by stroking my chest. So, what do you think? If we have, which role do you want? I don't know. We have to try first and see. Paul paused for a while. Then, shall we find information? Good, good idea. I hurriedly opened the car door, before the weather got even hotter. Let's go up. End of loop 11. Roll.